Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Off, 5 On Racing Show. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everybody had a nice holiday season. I know I did. I had a great time this past holiday. And for those of you who missed us during the holidays, those 2 Mondays we took off, I didn't miss you. No, I'm only kidding. Well, for some of you anyway. But it was good. It's the holidays. You got to take care of things. You got to go shopping. You got to visit friends and family, and that's what we did. But as one of you have mentioned, we have a new thing here. Look at this. I guess in my hiatus and my new producer, Matt, I want to welcome my new producer. He's with me a few times, but he is my guy now. Welcome him. He did some work, I guess, during the holidays to make this happen. New opening, new set, new everything. It's pretty cool. I walked in, I was like, wow, this is nice. Nice. So it's all good. So welcome, everybody. There wasn't a lot of going on in the racing world since we last met. It happens this time of year. I call it it's worse than the silly season because the rumors are out there. Who's driving for who's leaving, who's moving, who's this. In the Sprint Cup, there was a bunch of changes. We'll go over those in a little bit. But, the modified tour, I'm hearing who's in certain cars, and I hear other people in the same car. And it depends on which rumor mill you listen to. So I'm not even going to get into some of that stuff. What's going on with the K&N and the Wheeling Tours and whatnot. It's just, I can't get straight answers from people. And not because I can't get straight answers. I'm getting different answers from different people in regards to the same cars. So I'm not even going to go there with that stuff. But the off-season, the banquet seasons, I guess, I know our local racetrack here in Long Island will be having their luncheon. The last I heard, they're still kind of working around dates for that. And you know what? I'll tell you what. When no matter what you have, whether you have a party, a wedding, a barbecue, a luncheon, an awards banquet, you're gonna inconvenience somebody. And I know there's a lot of stuff with the indoor races going on in January, and you know what? This is what you do. This is the date. Unless your champions can't make it, this is the date. This is when we're doing it. Hope to see you then. Because something like that, here it is. You can't keep putting it off. You just can't. So, I don't know. And yes, Kevin Basic, Long Island Need for Speed. Yes, we are. We have a guest coming from Kevin's little circle there with the drill team racing, and we'll talk some drill team racing next week. That should be interesting. I had attended my first drill team event probably in the late 1960s and had a ball. And I've been to a few on and off over the years, the motorized and what they call the old-fashioned, which is no motors. So we'll get to talk about it. And no need to thank me, Kevin. Thank you. And Kevin, you arranged that, and I appreciate that. And it's all good. So 2014 is upon us. Since we last met, I had the opportunity to take a ride up to Riverton, Connecticut, home of the Wade Cole family of racing, and sat with Wade and one of the crew members and talked about 2014. So I just want to say it is officially official. I will be on the Wheeling Modified Tour in 2014. I believe we have an 8 or a 9 race schedule planned for 2014. The one race is iffy, and we'll leave it out as to where it is, but I will say why it is that we may put somebody else in the car at that event. I will say this, I will not be running Bristol. I will not be running New Hampshire. I can't even race Bristol on my PlayStation, let alone in real life. So we're gonna leave Bristol alone to the trained professionals. But New Hampshire NASCAR won't let me run, and that's understandable, and I respect that. I don't think I'm ready to go 170 miles an hour and draft. I could bump draft, like at Riverhead and Monadnock and stuff, but at Waterford. But I don't think I'm ready to draft at 170 miles an hour. Just one of the decisions we made at our meeting. But it was good. We took a ride up and met with Wade, and it was good. And for those who know Wade Cole, the driver to the 33, I will be in the 33 car, which will be renumbered the 83. And with a nice motor from Billy the Kid. I'm very happy about that. And we're just about all set. We just have to get the motor dropped into the car and get it painted and numbered up. I believe the crew chief is up there. I think the crew chief is on in the chat room. So it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually excited about this. I had some meetings with sponsors, and some look very promising. So once the check clears from those sponsors that we're working on, I will be more than happy to share that news with you. In fact, the press release will be coming out shortly for that. We'll see who puts it up and who doesn't. But it's going to be very interesting. But looking forward to 2014. My crew chief, DJ Hickton, he's all excited about moving forward, and Jake Morose, who's the driver to 38 Wheeler Modified Tour car before retiring, is going to be a part of my team. And more or less, it's kind of funny how you have to dot the I's and cross the T's. For those who aren't familiar with the way it works in touring series and in the top 3 series, each car has to have a registered only. Now Wade is a driver. He owns the equipment, but on paper, Jake Morose will be listed as the car owner. And still not sure about the spotter, but we'll see. But can you drive on Long Island? Yeah, I could drive on Long Island. I think you're talking about me. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. We're going with a silver, like a metallic paint scheme with red and blue trim. In fact, I'm supposed to get that scheme up to Wade so that they can make that happen. Because you could buy, I didn't know this, you could buy the panels already cut and measured and all set to go in the colors that you want now. We never, Silverback Bob. I don't know Bob's last name. It's funny, I know the guy for like 10 years, and I only know him as Spotter Bob. But Bob will be coming on as my spotter. Bob has spotted for numerous teams over the year, and he spotted for the 4 team for a while. He was with the 38 team this past season, I believe. And, having a spotter. Now, I never really had a spotter because I didn't like somebody talking to me. But you have to have one. It's something I'm going to have to get used to. But there's a relationship that you have to have with your spotter. It's that of trust. You have to trust what the guy's telling you. And now, for those who know me, I'm not a very trusting person. So, but talking to Bob, Bob will make me feel comfortable. And basically all I need to know is inside, outside, and what's happening where I can't see, and crashes. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll tell you what, I haven't been this excited about racing since 1979. And that's when I first started. You have that wide-eyed look of innocence. Hey, I have a race car, and you load it up on your open trailer, and you're driving to the track, and you see people staring at your car as you're going. And it's all good, and you have this feeling. Then you unload it, and then you go race, and hopefully you drive it off the racetrack at the end. And that excitement back then is I can't believe. Somebody had said to me the other day, in fact, coming back after I got back from the shop up in Riverton, Connecticut, which was like a 4-hour ride up there. It was only 2.5 coming back, go figure. But anyway, it was like, they could see the excitement anytime I talked about this. So a lot of people think I'm crazy. Some people think I'm nuts. Some people still don't believe it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, And yeah, WJMIRaces.com, absolutely. That's why you do this, to get away from the noise. As a former sponsor of mine, John Wellman, said, get away from the noise. And it's not the noise of the racetrack, the cars. It's the noise of the people who are negative. And I tend to think that some of the negativity has to do with jealousy. So, how the heck did I land a ride in a Whelen modified tour car? And it's funny in talking to Wade about it. Now, Wade has a pretty good sense of humor. And I always knew that, but he's a quiet guy at the racetrack. But, you get him in his territory, in his shop, sitting on his, workbench or whatnot. And, he was kind of teasing me with, we'll see how long this lasts, there's other people that want to drive the car. Your daughter could probably do better. We had a good time. It was well worth the trip, yeah, well, I got to get that to him, Silverback. I know how I want the color. I want the color to be, and with the cage and the chassis is already the red, so that's good. So we'll throw some red on the body and some blue and some things that make it look, when it's parked, so it looks fast. You know what I mean? But nah, we're gonna have some fun. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. And speaking of the Whelen Modified Tour, again, the schedule came out, I guess, the week of our last show, and I really expected more races on this schedule. Thank goodness there's two Riverheads, and not because I want to go there twice, but if there weren't two Riverheads, there would have been a really weak schedule. You throw in the Waterford, which was a place I love going to watch racing. And I always said I'd love to race at Waterford. And I'm going to have that opportunity. So my races right now, the way it stands, is Waterford, Riverhead, Stafford. Monadnock is up in the air. And there isn't a local guy up there that would really like to run the car. And I may step aside to let that happen. The first Thompson event, I will not be eligible to compete because I'm still only technically allowed to run half mile and under, but we need to get the owner points, which are going to help us with provisionals later on in the season. So we got to get those owner points. So we got to put somebody in the car in the first race, as well as with New Hampshire and Bristol. Well, Bristol is still a questionable thing, but at least with New Hampshire, because it's a good payoff. Just do a couple of laps, ride around. So, if I could convince them to look, we're just going to start in park. Well, maybe I could do that, but I know they don't like to do that, at least admittedly. But it'll be good. It'll be good. And Silverback, I think we're going to have a good time. In fact, I know we're going to have a good time. Because that's what racing's all about. It's like when I go golfing or go bowling, I don't care if I bowl a 110 or a 210. At the end of the night, I had a good time and with good people, and you have a few laughs. Same thing with golf. I don't care if I shoot a 92 or a 192. I'm out in the fresh air, smoke a nice cigar, bang a ball around, walk around in the fresh air and enjoy it. So it's all good. So anyway, Video Mike, I'm glad to see that you're up and about. I hope you're feeling a lot better. Video Mike was a little under the weather when we last chatted, so it's good to see Mike down, still here. You guys pick on Kevin all the time. But anyway, new studio thing here, new background, new intro. You guys spoke, we listened, so it's all good. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue talking about the futures in 2014, not only with me, but what's going on in some of the NASCAR divisions as well. And we'll be back.
Say Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time, like catching a cold or one of those awful stomach bugs. But we at Got Lice have your solution. You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural and organic, but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience whenever you want us. We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment. Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice at no additional cost. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
Back. So, folks, I see a bunch more people came into the chat room. Welcome. And how do you like my new set? Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, Video Mike, how do you get these people, Video Mike? You got to hook me up. You got to get me those contacts, man. You know, my favorite. AJ, thanks, man. Thanks. I don't want to tell you who my favorite video personality is. I might get in trouble, but that's all good. And it's not me, let me tell you. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's all good. Anyway, getting back to 2014. Now, lots going on. We're talking about this now. The Whelen Modified Tour. I was going through stuff because I'm trying to consolidate. I'm trying to, decide, do I need this? Do I want to store this? Do I want to present this? Do I want to give it to Marty Holmes? I'm going through stuff, and I found a T-shirt from the 2003 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, scary, back when it was still the Featherlight Modified Tour, and there were like 26 events. I mean, there was races in Holland, not Holland across the Atlantic, Holland up in New York State. There were races at Seekonk, the races at Beach Ridge, places that, I don't understand why we're not going there. And there were fun places I know it was a fun place to be a race director at, but I think it would be a fun place to race. I think, hey, we're back. I thought, sorry about that blip. I would love to race like that, like Lee. We haven't been to Lee in like forever. We should be racing there. Richmond, even North Wilkesboro. That seems like a place that, man, you can have a good time racing there, but they're leasing it out to other people, NASCAR or whoever owns it. I'm not even sure, but I don't know. Yeah, it was a little burp in the system there, my race news, but that's all right. It must have been something I had for dinner. Dinner. I had pizza for dinner. Can you believe that? I don't eat pizza for dinner. Pizza to me is like a snack. Pizza is what you grab on the way, But anyway. Now, Video Mike, I would love for those guys to call in or Skype in. Those guys you just mentioned, like Kenny Schrader. That guy's raced everything. I think he even raced with Ben-Hur in the chariot races at the Roman Coliseum. He's been around a long time. I can't remember, and I've been following racing a long time. I can't remember a time when Kenny Schrader wasn't racing something. I can't remember that, but I don't know. But what's this? No Disney World. What's when you know Disney World? I want to go there. I got to go. I've only gone with kids, and it's kind of different. Well, no, I went once with, but yeah, pretty much only with kids. In fact, I did the petty experience at Walt Disney Speedway twice, and it was once as a rider and once as a driver. We're not going to say how poorly I drove because I think the Guinness Book of World Records wanted to talk to me afterwards because I was probably the slowest person that ever did the petty experience at Disney, the slowest. Now, Silverback, don't be laughing because I don't believe I'm going to be the slowest guy in our car. I think we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. There's a test session in March, I believe, at Thompson that I'm going to attend, and I'm hoping that the NASCAR powers to be will watch and have the the stopwatch on me and see that I can turn some laps there. Because anybody drive by themselves could, do a quick lap, So I'm thinking I'll be able to do that. But again, looking forward to it. Looking all forward to it. But getting back to the schedule, and I'm not just talking about the NASCAR touring schedules with the K&N and the Whelen Modifieds and wherever else there's touring, but I'm talking about scheduling in general. That's one of my hot buttons. And again, I don't want anybody to think that I'm trash talking any racetrack or I'm bad mouthing any racetrack, because I know what it takes to put on an event. I know. See, a lot of folks out there think, well, it's real easy. You just take the key, open the lock, open the gate, wave the cars in, let them park, let them unload, fuel them up, put tires on them, practice, go racing. There's more to it than that. I understand that. And there's a lot more to it. There's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. There's a lot that goes into it financially from a promoter's end. Everybody thinks that promoters are rip-off people. They're not. And it is money. It's a lot of money to put on an event. Even with NASCAR. If you're not NASCAR, I was talking to Ann Young, who owns Bronson Speedway down in Florida, and she is not NASCAR, and she was telling me the reasons. And whether I agreed or disagreed with that, they have their own kind of insurance there. And I'll tell you what, and I hope that nobody takes this wrong. If I would have had my wreck at Bronson Speedway, I don't know if I'd be walking today. Because NASCAR took care of that. NASCAR took care of everything. All I had to do was do the paperwork right. So in a non-NASCAR place, there's limits to the liability. And in some place like Lou Smyrna used to be before it became NASCAR, you got nothing. You got to hurry, go to your doctor, you're paying. But anyway, again, the scheduling. It costs a lot to put on a show. Now, there's more to it again than just putting on a race. But there's the payoffs, there's the purse money. Where does that come from? A lot of people say, well, you got the Acme Auto Parts, 150, or the whatever, the Goggles Paisano Memorial, 30 lapper for late models. Somebody's still paying that. Now, if you think for 1 minute that a sponsor is picking up the tab there, they're not. They're just not. And what it costs you. Take a, and I'm going to throw these numbers out because I know them and what it used to be. And when the purse at Riverhead, back in the day when it was $6,000 to win, and you got something like $500 for taking the green. When you look at that purse, that was a big purse. That was like $25,000-$30,000 total. Where did that come from? Now, I know a sponsor to get the name on that event, and I only know this for a fact because I sold the deal, and I got my little cut for selling it. That sponsor only put up $10,000. So now, where that $10,000 went, it's nobody's business except for the promoter and what they did with it. Now, still, the money has to come from somewhere, and it comes from ticket sales and back gate fees and all that kind of nonsense. But people say, well, NASCAR needs to pay more. NASCAR has nothing to do with the purses. NASCAR doesn't pay the purses. NASCAR doesn't tell the racetracks what to pay. Can they suggest, hey, maybe you could vote? Yeah, they can. But let's say I own a racetrack. I own Yaphank Motor Speedway, and I'm going to have a modified tour race there. Listen, I'm paying $5,000 to win, $500 for last, and everything in the middle is a big drop from 5th to 10th. But anyway, NASCAR can't tell me, well, you make that $10,000. Well, guess what? You need to take your race somewhere else. I need to make money too. So people understand. And like Long Island Need for Speed, there's an old-timers night, August 16th here on Long Island Riverhead Raceway, and they need a sponsor for that night. And you know what? Yeah. And it's something like that, where an old-timers race, or a vintage race, whatever you want to call it, you know what you want to do? You want to be able to put a couple of bucks into the pockets of the guys who drove from wherever they drove from, whether it was Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, upstate New York, or around the block, something to cover their cost, something just for fuel for their truck to tow the hauler. You know, I don't know. I just look at that and what it costs to operate a racetrack is not cheap, and yeah, you know, NASCAR could help out by, as my race news says, you know, sharing sponsor money or getting it from, you know, the millions and billions that they might have, but understand and think about this. How many NASCAR Weekly Racing Series tracks or the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series, how many racetracks are there across the country now? We're talking Canada, Mexico, the United States, Europe, you know, how many? Now, think about that. Now, if NASCAR is kicking in from someone, somebody's going to lose out. It's got to come from somewhere. It's got to come from somewhere. And it's like any business. If you take from this section to compensate that section, you know, now this section, who's used to getting it, is going to be upset. So it's not even a win-win. It's a lose-lose. You know, I don't know. It's a tough gig. You know. Think about it, and I know about when UPS got involved with NASCAR. I know that had a whole lot came to be, and I know who spearheaded it and how it originally became, and how it was supposed to go, and how it ended up going. But you know, UPS had nothing to do with NASCAR. But what they did is then UPS, you know, was approached by NASCAR and said, "Hey, you know what? Do you want to be the official express shipping company for NASCAR? Because we don't have one." And now UPS stepped back and says, well, let's see. Well, there's us, there's FedEx, and there's the Postal Service, Express Mail. You know, the Postal Service isn't going to do it. And they didn't think, UPS, and I was a we back then, we didn't think that FedEx had the money to do this. So we sat back for a year. We did some associate sponsorship in the Nationwide Series. We teamed up with Yellow Freight and did a little sponsorship package. And then UPS, boom, went full force with Dale Jarrett. Cleaned him up a little bit, made him lose his mustache, cut his hair. UPS is big on appearance. And what they did is they come. The first year it was like $16 million that they gave Robert Yates. $16 million. Now, what did UPS get in return? See, here's the big thing. And I've been saying this just about every show that I've done since I've been on the air. There's got to be a return for that sponsor. Got to be returned. I sponsor teams from my marketing company, and they need to show me a return. So, what makes me different than UPS with this $16 million? So, what UPS got in exchange for that, other than exposure on national TV when Dale Jarrett was doing well, because he was used to run up front in the beginning, but what UPS got was 30% of the merchandising. Yeah, they made him take off his mustache, Video Mike. Let me tell you, because UPS didn't like I got written up for my mustache so many times because it went below a certain point. They took his thing on like that. Oh, that's it, you're getting written up. You know, next time you get written up, you're fired. No, kind of how I survived 25 years, I don't know. But anyway, so they got 30% of it. So every hat, every T-shirt, every jacket, every little thing in that souvenir trailer that had UPS's logo on, UPS got 30%. In addition to that, when NASCAR became the express shipping, UPS became the express shipping carrier for NASCAR. Everything went to penalty notices. No longer came FedEx. They went UPS. The licenses didn't go U.S. mail. They went UPS. So based on the merchandise, and I know this for a fact because as a shareholder in the company, I still read the reports. And UPS made $3 for every dollar that they put into NASCAR, whether it was NASCAR or whoever they sponsored then. In that case, it was Dale Jarrett. $3 for every dollar. You can't beat that. That's pretty cool. You know? Yeah. All right, Video Mike, like the Yankees with facial hair. There's rules. There was a driver who at UPS, and I'm kind of getting off on a tangent just to show you how crazy it was. There was a driver. He was a dark-skinned man, and he had trouble shaving because his face was all broken out, and the facial hair kind of covered up those markings. And he got suspended for violating the facial hair thing. So he went on strike. Well, it was a one-man strike. The guy picketed up and down one of the facilities, and he had hoped to get support from his union brethren, which he did not get, which kind of surprised me, but I was okay with that because I was a management guy. So that was okay. But when the dust settled, you know, he got his job back, but they kept him inside. You know, they don't like facial hair. There was rules. It was like there was pages and pages in the handbook about how facial hair had to be, where your sideburns had to be, mustaches. Mustaches didn't come to play until the early 80s, that you were even allowed to have a mustache. You know, otherwise you had to be, you know, there was a certain way, you know. Your hair had to be a certain length. It couldn't touch your ears. I know when I was first a UPS driver, I had this crazy hair. I think in Facebook, I'm going to do a retro Thursday this week of what my hair used to look like. And what I did is I used to put a hat on and always wore my hat in the UPS building when I was a driver. I was a driver for 2 years. And I never took it off there. Never took it off. And I had some head of hair. But anyway, getting back to Dale Jack. They made him cut his hair and shave off his mustache. So, you know, it's just a job. Let me tell you something, Kevin. You know, when you're making six figures and they tell you to cut your hair, you cut your hair because there aren't too many six-figure jobs around, let me tell you. But anyway, that's how they were. So anyway, you know, getting back to this one, they need to have a return. So when you go to sponsor an event, and I'm going to talk from a sponsor's point of view. I'm going to sponsor, let's say, and I'm not really going to sponsor, I'm just saying. You go back and I'm going to sponsor a tour race. My marketing company's going to sponsor a tour race. I'm going to put up 10 grand. Well, I'm not going to put up 10 grand because I have 10 grand laying under my mattress. What am I going to get for that 10 grand? I need to get something. I need to get it, not just my 10 grand back over time. I need to get maybe 20 grand back. I need to make money here. So if they can't show me a return on my sponsorship, I'm not going to do it. And that's what people don't understand, you know. You look at a lot of the local races, and they give away, and I say give away quarter panels, and not that they cut them off and they say, here, have a quarter panel, but they give away the spot. They give away the spot on these race cars for $100. Sometimes the decal costs $50, and you get only 100. And or it's their friend's place. They put the friend's place on it. Oh, that guy helped them out. So no, you know, nothing went on my race cars unless there was somebody came up with some cash or in an envelope or a check. You didn't go on my cars unless you did that. And even when I helped people out, there was a return. And I think when I look back on some of the teams that I helped, some of them I got a return. The ones I didn't re-sign. It was that simple. You know? Listen, you came to me, you asked for XYZ, I gave it to you. Now what are you giving back to me? And I look at proposals. You know what, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about proposals for sponsorships because it's something that needs to be discussed. And we'll be back. back. We're back. I'll tell you what, I was like watching the stuff, in between, I guess the little promos and stuff. Man, I just want to let you know, we're now broadcasting in HD, so we're at the next level in 2014. And to think that, when I first came on board like 3 years ago, I thought we were like, wow, state of the art then. Looking back, it was so primitive, and we've grown and we continue to grow. And it's all good. And it's because of folks like you, so thank you. Because without listeners and viewers, what are you going to do? So anyway, all right. So going back to some of the sponsorship, like somebody was saying in the chat room about somebody sent a proposal to UPS to sponsor the car because their friend worked at the UPS store. I'm going to tell you the worst proposal that a race team ever gave to me to find them a sponsorship, and here's how it started. And I'm going to paraphrase this. I don't remember exactly, but basically what it said is dear prospective sponsor. And I didn't even personalize the letters. You got to, and that's one of the things, you got to personalize it. Dear prospective sponsor, and they spelled sponsor wrong. If you sponsor my race car, I could buy my crew beer because they work for free, and if I could give them beer, they'll be happy. That's how it started. And it went downhill from there. And I'm reading this thing, and there was stuff in there like, and I could get, 4 tires a week, and if I get 4 tires a week, I could qualify better. And fuel is expensive, so if you could sponsor me for fuel, I won't have to buy it, and that'll leave me more money to buy beer for my crew. I kid you not. This is what this guy was doing. Give me money, I need tires to win. Dude won, welcome, Happy New Year. It was incredible, incredible. And I'm looking at this proposal, I'm like, and I called the guy up. I said, dude, and not dude one, because he knows how to make proposals. But I called the guy dude. I said, dude, you can't send this to somebody. Well, that's the one I've been sending. All right, so how many sponsors have you got with this? Well, none. Well, there you go. Because if you continue to do the things you do, you're going to continue to get the results that you got. So let's throw this away and let's start over. And the guy was mad at me. He was like, no, I'll find somebody else. I said, all right, find somebody else. So I go to the racetrack, just a couple of years ago. I go to the racetrack and I see that his car is a rolling billboard. Great, hey, you found somebody else. So I was talking to the guy and I said, hey, what'd you get from this guy? Oh, he gave me $50. So he gave me $50 to get out of his office. So the $50 is good, you're on your way. Well, yeah. And where did this guy? Oh, that guy, I owed him $100. So he told me if I put him on my car, I don't have to pay the $100. And I was like, you're kidding. You are kidding me, right? Well, and that's okay because, I'm going to buy a new race car and I'm going to buy this guy's car. I says, dude, that race car is like $6,000. Well, I'm going to give him $50 a week. $50 a week. And the guy's accepting it? Well, yeah. So, and dude one knows who I'm talking about, the $50 a week guy. And what happens is you get the first couple of 50s, and then the next one is like a couple of 25s. Then he disappears, and then you got to track him down, and then you have to have people with crooked noses go visit him, and then you get your money. But not that really happens. Does that really happen? I don't know. I think that only happens in movies. That there's people with crooked noses that chase money. But then again, I don't know. Well, that's already in a book, I think. But anyway, it's proposals. What you need to do in your proposal is you need to show the sponsor what their return is going to be. What's in it for me? And I know I probably mentioned this once or twice, but back in '94, a buddy of mine had a chiropractic office, and he was doing, I'll say, fairly well. And I said, hey, listen, maybe, and I was only looking for like $1,000 tops, maybe. And I was looking for like a fuel deal and a let's get in the pits deal. So I wasn't going out of my pocket. And he wasn't biting. He saw no return on that. So one day we were out for lunch, and I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I have a whole rear panel on my race car that's empty. Why don't I put your company on there? Chiropractic company. I'll put that on there, your logo, boom, and I won't charge you. And he was like, all right, yeah, well, Yeah, you could do that. But I said, here's the deal. Like when you get your new patients come in and they fill out that information sheet, you know, how many surgeries, how old they are, how many kids, family history. On the bottom, he had this thing that said, how did you hear about our office? And any of the people that say from the racetrack or from Joe's race car, you know, but they keep those on the side, keep track. And whatever you've made from them, not gross, but profit, whatever you made from them, take me back like 3%. Looked at me and goes, well, that's a no-brainer, because it ain't going to cost me a dime. I said, oh, maybe it won't. So I had these little cards printed up. I'm passing out cards. I'm at UPS in my office. Hey, oh, my back hurts. Oh, your back hurts? Yeah, go see this guy. Tell him something. Well, the season ends. It's October, and we go to this Italian restaurant called Chow Babies. Very pricey, very nice place. I was sitting there, and he's going to take me to dinner. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he got a couple of people. He's going to take me to dinner. And we're having dinner. We have our appetizer. We have our meal. A little dessert comes. We're having some after-dinner drinks, hanging out, talking. He goes, oh, and by the way, he goes, I got this check for you. It was like for $6,000. I said, you made that much for? He goes, I would have thought that I would have. But yeah. Now, that chiropractic company has been taken over by another chiropractic company, or another doctor, I should say. And since 1994, that organization has been on all my race cars in some capacity. Because there's a return. You saw a return. Physical therapy, acupuncture, adjustments, whatever it was a full service place. And, I sent a lot of people there. We made a lot of money there, even with today's insurance. So, dude one, you're right. He was the one. Dr. Mike, who has has long since sold the practice to Dr. Don, and Dr. Don is a very good friend of mine, and still helps out to some occasions. So, anyway. But that's what you have to do. You have to show a return. You definitely have to show a return. And I have a proposal out there with an organization that we're calling it a coupon thing. People go into their business with this coupon. They're going to get a free item. It's a free, high profit, low cost item. So, the cost is probably like 20 cents, and they probably sell the item for $2. But they're going to get that free if they spend like $10. Now, at the end, they're going to say, all right, I have 1,000 coupons made. That's $10,000. So let's say every coupon is made and everybody spends a minimum of $10. They just saw 10 grand, and they gave away 20 cents. So they gave away like $20. So their return is $9,900 and change. I'm asking for 20% of that. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it goes. And I see Jay Slice. I didn't see him sneak in. Jay Slice, welcome. And Jay Slice was good enough to inform me that about one of my former crew members who runs Enduro cars, ran the Frostbite Enduro Mountain Speed. I believe it was Mountain Speedway, and finished 4th. In fact, all the local guys from Long Island did very well there. But I got to talk about my man Tom Smokey Roberts, because he was on my crew and very helpful. In fact, he towed the car when Jay Slice's brother Brian was driving me. He towed it out to the track for me, and he was very helpful. He was out in my garage every night that we were there working on it, whether it was in the garage at the house, or whether it was at the shop, or whether it was in the driveway. Wherever it was that we were working on, he was there. And the guy worked crazy hours, so I want him, a little hats off for Smokey and his nice finish there up a mountain. But it's all good. But anyway, I saw early in the chat room somebody sent a proposal because their friend worked there, and it's not about you, the driver. If any drivers are out there watching or listening, it's not about you. You want to get a sponsor, it's about the sponsor. What's the return in it? You can't be, you can't be just, gimme. and one of my deals with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that was all arranged through John Wellman, who's now living down south. That was all arranged by John, and what that was he made a big donation to Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and a portion of that had to be earmarked for racing. Not only my race car, but there was a couple other people that he helped out as well to carry the Big Brothers Big Brothers logo. But it didn't end there. It didn't end there. We got Big Brothers Big Sisters involved with the high school that my daughter Jessica went to, Abilene High School, and some of the kids in the school signed on to be big brothers and big sisters to these kids who, some don't have, fathers and mothers, and being raised by, a guy being, young boy being raised by his aunt. Not that that's a bad thing, but, you need that male influence. So we did stuff like that. We did appearances with the car, and many a night that we spent all night in the shop changing body panels. And Jay Slice will tell you, I got real good at changing body panels and making body panels, because I did it so many times, because it had to look perfect for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Because God forbid somebody from Big Brothers or Big Sisters showed up at the event and I had a crinkled quarter panel or a crinkled fender. I would hear about it. I don't know, but I don't know. It's one of those things. And Jay Slice, guys are still working on the car that they have. Jay Slice, talk to Brian. I made him an offer. I made him a proposal for the 8-ball. So I was supposed to call him. I just got busy. But the 8-ball is still sitting with a blown motor. And one of the things my dad taught me, and he told me to stay focused on what he did. He said, do one thing and do that one thing well. And I can't be involved with a local racetrack car as a car owner or driver and concentrate on my modified tour ride. So I've elected to put all my efforts into my tour mod. And that's only to be fair to my crew and my car owner and my sponsors on the tour mod. I don't want to be in a situation where on a Saturday night I go to my local racetrack on my figure-8 car and crash or get hurt and I can't run Sunday in the tour race. It just wouldn't be fair. So that's what I've elected to do. So the 8-ball is going cheap. Basically, no reasonable offer will be turned down. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but the primary reason is I want to stay focused on what I'm doing in 2014, and I can't be worrying about a figure-8 car, and who's going to get it then, who's going to race it, and who's not going to race it, who's going to fix it, who's not going to fix it, and who's going to pay the bills on it. So with that being said, I will, Mr. Slice, you might be back with the 8-ball. I don't know. You guys know it, so make it happen. Anyway, that's, yeah. All of my efforts. Well, there's other efforts that I have that are non-racing, myracenews.com, and I got to worry about those efforts as well. But there's just so much. I'm just one guy with two hands. You know what I mean? And but I have a crew, and sometimes it makes me happy to know that my race shop is in Riverton, Connecticut, and it takes me a long time to get there. So anyway, but going back to the sponsorship deals. It's the off season now. It's January. Touring races starting, well, Daytona is a non-points race, but touring races for the most part start in March, April. The weekly series starts April, May, depending what track you're at. Now is not the time to go get sponsors. Their budgets. If you're looking for a $500 guy, yeah, you're going to get that. You need to have been working on those things already, which I have been doing. Because it's all budgeted. These people, the bean counters sit around and they look at the budget. Okay, listen, we need this. This is going to be, X number percent is payroll, and we're going to take this, and we're looking for this profit, and there's a business plan. If you don't, you don't have a business plan, and how was it taught to me? A failure to plan is a plan to fail. So, budgets. If you're looking for the big sponsor, you need to be talking to them now for 2015. You need to plant those seeds. You need to do your proposals. You need to get it out there. And you'll be surprised how that's going to work. How that, because now you have that. That's in the bank. But And again, it's how you present it. Now, let's say you want a $1,000 sponsor. You got a 10-race deal, right? So you go up to a prospective sponsor and you go, hey, listen, you want to sponsor my car? It's $1,000 a week, I mean, it's $1,000 for the season, and blah blah blah, and this is what I could do for you for that $1,000. The guy's looking at that, well, that's a lot of money. No, I'm not interested. Good luck. Well, now you go up to the same guy and say, you know what? I'm racing 10 races for $100 a week. I could give you this. Now, we all know it, especially you guys out there. It's all about ego. 100, yeah, I got 100. They whip out the 100, oh, they give it to you. Because nobody wants to say they don't have 100 to throw around. Some of us, we'll drop 100 in the bar, and I think nothing of it. So we'll give 100. Hey, here's 100. Here's my logo. Put it on your car. A couple weeks later, I need 100. There you go. Here's 100. At the end of the day, he gave you 1,000. That's how you have to present it. I had a sponsor once. We raced 15 races that year, and I wanted this sponsor to be for pit fees. It was like 25 to get in. Whatever. I think it was 25 to get in. Maybe it was 20. But let's say 20 for round numbers for the math for this exercise. So we had 20 races that year. In fact, we raced every week, I think. So now that's $400, So I didn't present it that way to the guy. I said, hey, listen. I said, I could put you on my race car and said, just a little thing, Acme Corporation, with your little logo. $20 a week. Oh, Simon, what do I sign? Oh, you added up. The guy gave me $400. Didn't cost me a thing. It did not cost me a dime to sign in the back gate that whole year. That's how you have to present this sometimes. And I was talking to a driver not too long ago. Maybe it was last spring. I was talking to a retired driver, and we were talking about that and how the way he raced is he needed good finishes because he uses the good finish money this week to go racing next week. He goes, you and me race different. He goes, you're racing off of sponsor money. I'm racing off of what I won last week. Results are still the same. But I knew that with my experience and the way I was driving, I wasn't going to be in what we called a roll over the scale finish in the top three, where in that division, the top three paid a lot of money. In fact, the top five, in fact, the top 10 paid a decent amount, and it wasn't even a modified. But you go through that, and that's how you have to present it. Now, Video Mike is saying, corporate years run from November 1st to October 31st. Not necessarily. Some, I know at UPS it ran from September 1st to August 30th. I just happen in my corporations, I go January 1st to December 31st. Sometimes it depends on when you set your corporation up and how you're going. It's all different, but everybody's a little different. But, I don't know, like Jay Slice says, it's easy to get, $500 sponsors and and exactly, you get two biggies, it covers the little. And I have a thing right now with the tour mod. The back panel is X, the quarters are half of X. There's not too many spots on the tour mod to put a sponsor. So I looked at what I've budgeted and what I need, and I've gone accordingly. So, again, proposals. Let's go. I want to go back. I'm going to beat this like a dead dog here. And pardon the expression, and I don't mean a dead dog, or maybe a dead horse, or just beat it with a stick. I don't know. But make your proposal realistic. And what you want to do is, you need to do what I call, here we go with acronyms, you need to set SMART objectives. That doesn't mean to be smart. When you do your proposal, SMART is an acronym, SMART. It's specific, measurable, action-oriented, real time. Okay? That's what it is. So when you want to be specific, what do you want? What are you going to give? And it's measured. How do you measure that? Well, I want it for this season. We have 10 races. And action-oriented. What are you going to do for that? And then real. And this is what we're really going to do. And time-bound. What's the time? How long is it going to take them to see that return? I don't know. That's what you have to do. Like, Jay Slice saying at Staples, there's April 1st and March 3rd. Everybody's different with their budgeting and when they meet. And it's just, that's what you have to do. you want to get a sponsor, it costs a lot of money to race, a lot of money to race. And, Wade and I were talking, and we were just to roll the car into the pit area. Just to roll it into the pit area. And that's the fuel, 1.5 sets of tires, and getting 10 crew members in, including the driver, is $1,500. So I'm going to say I'm going to do 10 races. That's 15 grand. 15,000. The only saving grace that I see with the way my sponsors are budgeted is I got 1 race in April, 1 in May. Let's see what happens after that. Just see what happens after that. I don't know. It's just one of those things. But anyway, we're going to take a break again. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the things that are going on in the top 3 series down in Daytona with NASCAR, the Cup Series and whatnot. So we'll be back. Hey, we're back. We're back. Yeah, some of the stuff going on in the Nationwide Series. 18-year-old Chase Elliott to drive the number 9 for JR Motorsports, full-time in 2014 with financial backing from Napa. Greg Ives will be the crew chief. Napa. See, I knew they'd be back. They just weren't going to be back with Michael Waltrip Racing, unfortunately, for what happened. But you know what? It's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned. And I happen to know Michael Waltrip, and I happen to like Michael Waltrip. And you know what? I don't think what happened there with the, well, I know we talked about this. If people think that's the first time that something like that has happened, you know, they're wrong. I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, some of the other things. What do we got going on? Testing is about to begin at Daytona International Speedway. The Generation 6 Cup car new rules that they're working on and they're going to be testing is the elimination of pre- and post-race front ride height rules and inspections. Now, I know there's some people that got heavy fines for post-race front ride height rules through inspections. But I'm being told through the grapevine that some of the inspection stuff is going to go by the wayside, and that they're going to be less officials and less teching. I don't know. It remains to be seen. Because, you think that there's a lot of officials that show up at a racetrack, especially when it's a cup weekend with Nationwide truck. When you think about every car has an official assigned to them from the minute they roll in to the minute they roll out. Then there's people stationed at certain spots, and there's got to be 60 officials just in the sprint series at an event, and not too many less in the Nationwide event. Now, the truck series usually borrows. There's a lot of borrowing. A Nationwide guy gets there a day early, a Cup guy gets there a day early, or a guy from Long Island happens to be there, and they throw a fire suit on him, and they give them the guys in the back so that, you don't make too many decisions. But anyway, let's see. They're going with a new square loading edge for the splitter. I'm not going to lie, I don't know what that even means. I know what the splitter is, but a square loading edge, I don't know if they want the splitter to be square, it's rounded now. I don't know. If I don't know something, I'll tell you. They're gonna make adjustments to the side skirt and rear fascia areas, and there's reasons for that, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then they want to go to an 8-inch rear spoiler, 8-inch by 43 wide, and also a 13-inch radiator pan. Now, this is why they're making these changes, or hoping to, as part of the chess. The hope is that the changes produce closer racing and more side-by-side competition while making the cars more stable in traffic. Now, if you've watched Talladega, if you watch Daytona, the cars are not stable. They're bobbing and dancing, and you're holding on for dear life. I mean, I've never driven at 220 miles an hour, but I've driven at 140, and just 1 degree on the steering wheel, you could be making a hard left. So these cars need to be stable, and that's one of the things they're going to do. With the tour mods, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything in regards to rule changes. And again, I'm not privy to what's going down. I can tell you this. I did a lot of work on roofs, and I don't see it coming in 2014, but I see it coming in 2015. And I did a lot of work in 2012 and 13, and some, not too much in 14, but 13, not 14, 14 passed. But I'm sorry, 11 and 12 I did a lot of work, and not too much in 13 on the rule changes for the roofs, and what the rules are going to be like. And this is just my opinion, and I see this happening. I see this coming down the pike. I see that eventually the modified bodies are going to come from NASCAR. And just like, INEX and Racing 600, the legend cars basically come from INEX or Racing 600. And that's for tech reasons, because now that's one less thing you got to worry about. And unfortunately, when you call them modifieds, when you call them, it's the NASCAR Whelen modified, whether it's the Southern Tour, the Northern Tour, they're modifieds. And that term came to be is when they took stock cars in the late 40s and early 50s and modified them. They were called modifieds. Yeah, my racers, it's like the IREC cars, identical. And I'll tell you what, and years ago when a modified showed up at the track in Primer, you knew whose car that was. You just knew that's so-and-so. There's no numbers on it. It's Primer color, Primer gray, Primer black, whatever. That's so-and-so's car. How do you know? I know. These cars show up at the practice session, or whatever you want to call that thing in March, test session, in Primer. Until the driver gets out of the car, you won't know whose car it is. And in some cases, you won't know who it is when they even get out of the car. because they're starting to all look alike. And they were called modifieds for a reason. Now, competitive-wise, and I'm going to talk about modifieds, competitive-wise, with the exception of a handful of cars, and if they had more than full fields where people were going home, back when there were 40 cars, 0.2 of a second was the difference between starting on the pole and going home. 0.2 of a second. That's a blip. That's a burp. Okay? Now what we have is 0.2 of a second, maybe 2.5 of a second, is the difference between starting on the pole and being in provisional land. Now, I could tell you flat out, I'm not going to be in provisional land. Not because I'm going to qualify that well. It's because I don't have any provisionals. I have a new car owner and a new driver. We don't have provisionals. Right, Silverback? So we're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to work on how to get me provisionals in 2014. Yes, I think that's the next meeting. We might have to swap some stuff around. But anyway, but that's what's happening. And what the Sprint Cup Series, and it kind of filters down to the nationwide, is they need to make these races a little more interesting, and they need to make these races so that there's passing, there's side-by-side action. There's not this, like in the nationwide, the 2x2x2x2. Not like in the Cup Series where they get in a single line. You have a 200-lap race. They ride around for 180 laps, and they race the last 20. They need to race all the time. And the way the point, I'm telling you, it used to be in the points. If you led a lap, you got so many points. And if and it was a lot of points. You got under the old point system, you got 5 bonus points, and if you led the most laps, you got additional 5. There should be, I don't know. I know it's hard to come up with a point system, but you need to make the races more interesting. And how do you do that? How do you do it? So you need to make, if you're leading on lap so-and-so, you get this. If you're leading on the halfway, you get that. And that's just the way it is now. I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with the point system. No, the chase didn't do what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to create an interest and awareness during football season. People watched racing, because they weren't getting the same. Here we go with sponsor stuff again. The sponsor dollars that they were getting in the summer were a lot more than the sponsor dollars they were getting in October and in November, because all the sponsorship money was going to NFL, to football. So, and that's why the races started showing up on Saturday night, and that's why they started doing this. And I don't know. The chase was supposed to eliminate that, and it didn't. So let's get rid of the chase. Okay? It's not working. It's not working, in my opinion. And I know what they don't want to do. They don't want somebody who's going to run away with the points, and where the last 2 or 3 races are meaningless. And I understand that. But you know what? As officials, they need to do something to fix that. Is it manipulating outcomes? They're manipulating outcomes anyway, to a degree. Think about it. Think about some of the stuff that goes on. And I'm not saying they handed, anybody that's won a title has been handed to them. It's not. But when a guy or a gal is running away with a race and he's just taking off, or he or she's taking off and passing cars at will like they're stopped for a cigarette, you know what? Competition yellow bit, boop, boop, put the yellow hanky out and bunch the field back up. And the other thing that I think would make racing more interesting is no pitting on the yellow. Because this is what happens. And I know I've said this, and this is a fact. Wreck in turn 2, put it out yellow. All right, caution car, your lead is 07. Pick him up, coming off at turn 2. Now you pick him up. Now you just didn't hold on the lap. Caution car picks him up, now they pass stuff in his line, that's lap 2. They got to clean up the problem. It's 1, maybe 2 laps. Call it 2, because it was a wreck. So now you got 4 laps on the yellow. All right, lead lap cars, you can pit now. Whoop, that's 5 laps. Lap cars, you can pit now. That's 6 laps. Get the field, make sure it's out. That's 7 laps. One to go with the line, 8 laps. Think about it. Not so much on the super speedways, but on the Bristols, the New Hampshires, the 1.5 miles, some of the tracks, the Touring Series mile, half miles, 3/4 of a mile, whatever. Think about that. Think about that. Why do you think the Whelen Modified Tour goes red when they have to do speedy dry? So they don't have 10 laps of caution every caution. How do you fix that? You don't pit on yellow. You'll save 3 laps. You want to pit? Green flag pit stops only. Or better yet, it's a no tire change race, no fuel. You want to pit, you pit. You're on your own. Okay? I don't know. No? Guys, what are you guys talking about? But anyway, and that's just my opinion. That's just definitely my opinion. And I think that would make the races a little more interesting. Especially now, you got pit road speed. Years ago, they come barreling down 108 miles an hour. I remember watching a race where Chad Little came barreling down pit road, and he went to stop in his pit, and he was going to overshoot it, so he spun the car. He ended up in his pit facing the wrong way. I don't know. What are you guys talking about? I'm going to get it. What am I going to get later? I'm going to get nothing. In the weekly charge, you should have. Well, it's the same thing. Take Riverhead. Take a Riverhead Tour Show. Because of the way the pits are set up, it takes forever to get in and forever to get out. So that's more the reason why there should be 0 pitting. Unless you're wrecked. If you're wrecked, you get dragged in, boom. You're not waiting. With the field and all, with transponders, it takes no time at all. Get them back in order. 1 to go with the line, go racing. You're stuck in the pits behind the gate. Oh, well, too bad, so sad. We'll get out in the next caution. I don't know. It's just one of those things, But what you have to do is you got to make the races interesting. You really do. And that's one of the things I say that should be done is you don't pit on the yellow. Now, this thing that some series do, it's green flag racing only. I sat through a modified race that it should have taken 25 minutes. It took an hour and a half because the yellow flag laps didn't count. I know what they were trying to do, and they're going to advertise the race as 150 green flag laps. Woohoo! Okay, that's good. There was also 150 laps of yellow that didn't count. I don't know. Well, see, in the short track, and you don't need to pit. You don't need to pit. Sorry. You just don't need to pit. There are teams that every time the pit gate opens on the short, these little tracks, they're going to pull in. For what? Come on. You want to make an adjustment? I don't know. You don't need to make an adjustment. Drive the car. Drive the car. Make it happen. That's the problem with some of the race car drivers today. Now I'm going to get beat up for this one. I can see it, not physically, but is that can't drive the cars if it's not perfect. I've scanned drivers in touring series, and I hear them say, "Oh, I got a little push." All right, so what do you do when you got a little push? What do? You don't go in as deep as you did when your car wasn't pushing. A little, lift a little sooner. Oh, it's loose. The ass end's coming around. What am I going to do? Oh, I got to come in. I got to come in. You know what? Maybe you got to feather the gas a little bit, maybe. Maybe you come off it a little different. Come off the corner, different angle. Drive, daggone race car. It's not going to be perfect every time. Think about it. Think about it. Think about your practice at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're racing at 9. It's a whole different racetrack. It's a whole different racetrack, especially if the sunset. Come on. I mean, I'm not a mechanic, but you know what? I know the laws of physics, and I know it works on a race car. Right? I don't get a lot of credit for what I know because I kind of keep to myself and I keep that stuff quiet. But I used to tell people, why are you burning up tires of practice at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when you don't race till 9 o'clock at night? I don't understand this. What are you practicing? How to be a race car driver? You've been racing for 20 years. You don't need to practice how to drive a race car. You're not setting your car up or anything. Earl Pearson runs a dirt late model in the dirt series. And I went to watch him once at Volusia County, I believe it was, and because I had sold him, shirts and hats and stuff. And he went out for practice, did 8 laps, he parked, he got out, took his fire suit off. What's wrong with the car? Nothing. I'm not practicing. He goes, if I can't tell what my car's doing in 8 laps, I might want to go bowling. I don't need 30, 40 laps. That's the problem with you NASCAR guys. You die yourselves right out. You do lap after lap after lap. You keep changing this, air pressure, wedge, change the spring, change the shock, make this adjustment, put a little wedge, take it a little, put a little more cross weight. And then you think you got it, and you go out racing, you're out to lunch. You don't need that. You don't need that. Yeah, Joe's on a rip. I don't know how I got here, but I did. Anyway, let's see. Let's go to something a little more mellow that I could talk about. All right, some team changes. Some changes going on in Cup this 2014. Daytona is only like 6 weeks away, I believe. As we all know, Austin Dillon will drive the 3-car with Richard Childress Racing. I know a lot of the racing purists think that's wrong. The 3-car should not be running. But let's remind people that Richard Childress owns number 3 and has for quite some time. Just Dale Earnhardt, the late Dale Earnhardt, happened to drive it. That's his number. If he wants to use it, God bless him. Go use it and go have a good time. So his grandson, Austin Dillon, will be in the 3-car. It'll be good to see the 3 back because I'm from, I like to see that. Kevin Harvick will be in the 4-car owned by Stewart Haas Racing after 13 years at Richard Childress Racing. Michael Annett replaces Dave Blaney in the Tommy Baldwin Racing number 7. Cole Witt, a 22-year-old who made 7 starts for Swan Racing in 2013 in Cup. He's one of the 2 drivers given keys for the full season by Brendan Davis, a Brendan Davis-owned team. So that's kind of different. Parker Kligerman, another youngster at 23, will be in the lineup for Swan as well. Ryan Newman, after 5 years at Stewart Haas, Newman takes over the 31 at Richard Childress Racing, a car formerly driven by Mr. Burton. Kurt Busch, the 2004 Sprint Cup champion, will be in the 41 at Stewart Haas Racing in 2014. Kyle Larson replaces Juan Pablo Montoya in the Earnhardt Ganassi number 42. I'm kind of happy about that. A.J. Allmendinger moves into a full-time ride at JTG Dougherty Racing, replacing 2000 champ Bobby Labonte in car 47. Brian Vickers, saddled with health issues twice in the last 4 years, will drive Michael Waltrip's number 55. 2014, and Martin Truex Jr. After losing his sponsor Napa in 2013, Truex went looking for a new ride and found a home at Furniture Row in the 78. And Josh Wise, who left Furniture Row Motorsports, will be racing for Phil Parsons Racing. So some of the changes you're going to need the program definitely to tell who's and what and where, and different color schemes, different numbers, different fire suits. That's a lot of changes. That's a lot of changes. Yes, I think Metal Maniacs is on after me tonight. They will be here. Why are we talking about Metal Maniacs, man? Like want me to end at 8:30 so they can start early? I mean, I can. I get paid by the show whether I go 5 minutes or go 3 hours. No, I'm only kidding. Actually, I'm not. You want to watch the Metal Maniacs? You should watch the Metal Maniacs and every other show that's on here at inravio.com because I'll tell you what, it was a good lineup of shows here, and I'll tell you what, in 2014 we've taken this to just a new level, new heights. Had the opportunity to have our In Ravio holiday party, which had outgrown where we were going, and we went to a nice place down the road, one of our In Ravio sponsors, Merchants Bay Diner, and the food was awesome, and had a great time. And you get to meet the other personalities. I don't see too many of the personalities when I come down because nobody's on before me, and for the longest time, nobody was on after me. So I get to see the Metal Maniac guys and how they kind of move the set around to get what they have. And, you know, up until I saw my new set, I was kind of thinking about I like their set. But now I think everybody's going to want a set like mine because I think this is awesome. I like this background behind me. I'm thinking it's good. And when we get my tour model painted and lettered, we're gonna put that in here somewhere too. I think we're gonna find a spot for it. But Matt's shaking his head yes. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what. I love my old producer, Christine. She was good. I loved her. She made me look good. She really did. She was like the hand that used to come under the desk when I had all the stuff here, and she used to, you know, get the phone calls in and all that, fix my sound. But, you know, and Matt, man, I'm not good with change. I was like, oh, who's this Matt guy, man? I don't know. I come in, I find a new set. He's laughing. We're having a good time. It's all good. And so, and he's even been around for the Joe brand because he's been here doing stuff, and he was like looking. He goes, "Oh my God, the guy's flipping out." But no, it's good. It's good. So anyway, you guys, what are you guys talking about here? I'm missing this whole thing. You know, sometimes I got to see what's going on. You know, oh man. All right, 2 weeks. But, you know, I took off for good reason. I took off because it was the holidays and people need to shop. You don't need to be sitting in front of your computer. You need to be setting up your Christmas decorations. Even I had Christmas decorations up at my place. I had a Christmas tree. I had garland. I think I got 3 Christmas cards. I had them up. I don't know. It's all good. You know, but I like to have a good time. But this new set is awesome. I'll tell you what, these guys make me look good all the time. So it's, and like I said, Christine was great, and Matt is showing some of his greatness already in week 1. So, and you know what's good is when I look at my producers smiling and laughing. So that's a good thing too. But again, it was all good. And again, I gotta thank the management here. And this is Suck Up Day. I gotta thank the management. You know, Chuck and Bonnie for giving me this opportunity, and for listening to some of my stupidness when I really want a different background, or I want a different set, you know, can we do this? I don't know, my lighting's messed up, you know, just about anything I ask for, they kind of give me. It just, because I've known Chuck and Bonnie for quite some time, and again, I want to thank them for giving me this opportunity, because this is, I get to just speak what's on my mind here, you know, I get to do my thing. And when I was doing that old show, the Speed Racing Radio with Jeff Bressler and the late Ricky Miller, you know, we looked at, that was our night out, that was our card night, and we had moved our set, you know, we had a real set. We moved to the ESPN zone at the Uniondale Marriott, and we used the same set as the ESPN people did when the Islanders were playing. And it was like our night out. You know, before the show, we sat, we had dinner with our wives and whatever. And then after the show, we stayed for drinks. And the Islanders, if they were home, they'd come over there for drinks themselves. And you know, we had a 1-hour show, and that 1-hour show ended up being like a 7-hour event. Because by the time we had dinner, did the show, and hung out after, it was a long night. And it was fun. It was fun. But you know what? This is fun. I'm having a ball here. We could do that, Mr. J. Slice. In fact, the Inravio logo will be on my tour mod in 2014, and as well as PK Books Inc., JJ Literary Associates Inc., and a sponsor to be named later, who I hope to have an answer within the next couple of weeks. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. You know. Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, I have to. You know, it's kind of funny because it's in the rule book that you can't do that, because you have to go. It's a whole bunch of things you have to go through to get a camera in-cut camera. I know I could do it for practice, but again, even that takes. I know when we were live, the modifieds were live at Bristol in New Hampshire, and whoever was televised, Speed, I guess, was televised. What they had to go through to get a camera in the car, it was incredible. And so that's something that needs to be arranged ahead of time. But yeah, we're going to try to do that. We're definitely going to try to do that. I think for Riverhead, at least, we'll have one in for practice. But But we'll see. We'll see. It's all good. Let's see, what did I say? Yeah. You know, and speaking of Jeffrey Neubauer, my publisher and friend, he was supposed to be here tonight, but I believe he's in Myrtle Beach on business. And yeah, he's in. I mean, I don't know what kind of business, but but what I want to announce today, which he was supposed to be here to do with me, but I'm going to announce this today, and some people already know this, very few, and it's that of people in my circles. As of January 1st, I was made I guess the title is Executive Vice President of PK Books, Inc. And there's a lot of reasons for me taking on this position. And my books do very well, and B, I was loyal to the organization when there was some problems going on. And I don't want to say problems. They weren't really problems. There was health issues with the president of the company where things kind of went by the wayside, and I stuck by. And a lot of things happened that people thought I was nuts, because, no, you're getting paid for this, and you didn't get any money. And you know what? Sometimes you don't do things for the money. I don't race for the money, obviously, because the car owner is going to get the money, and I'm going to get the hardware, if there's any hardware to be gotten. But okay, you can laugh, folks. You can laugh at that. And but I stuck by the man, and we became good friends, and with some of the business sense that I have and whatnot. A decision was made with the other partners to bring me on board. So he was supposed to be here. He wanted to make a joke out of it. He wanted to make give me the key to the executive washroom and stuff. But that's some of the things I'll be doing in 2014, and that's another reason why I need to step away from my local racetrack and do something else with my figure eight car. As much as I'd love to run it myself, I don't have the time to do that. And it's time to go into the next chapter in life. I'm only looking to race another couple of years. Well, Mr. Slice, no more. I'll tell you what, after the week I had the last couple of weeks at the barn, there might not be a barn for me in my future. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, the executive VP also sweeps the office. You'd be surprised that it's under my title, things I got to do. But it's something that came to me as a surprise. It wasn't something I was looking for, but yeah, that's where it's at. And again, he wanted to come here and talk about that, and as much as I would have liked him to do that, it's still a racing show, and I want to talk racing. So I guess I'll be racing to the elevator to get to my corner office. With the winners. Because when you have a corner office, like I had at UPS on the second floor, when you have a corner office, you have a window in each corner, and the vice president of UPS came to my office one day. I'll never forget it. He comes to my office, and he says to me, he says, Joe, I need to take a conference call. It's going to take about a half hour. Can I use your office? I said, oh, absolutely. So, and I had all my stuff, all my racing stuff in the office, and my Dale Jarrett cars on the shows. And, it looked more like a racing thing than a UPS office. But he goes in, he shuts the door, and I put a little note, do not disturb, conference call in progress. And like I said, it was the one of the vice presidents of UPS. So all of a sudden, the conference call ends, and he comes out of my office. He goes, Joe, you got a minute there? Can we go to the break room? Yeah. The guy's name was Bruce. Yeah, Bruce, let's go. And I'm like, oh, man, he's going to tell me I broke policy. I have all this racing stuff in my office. And we sit down in the break room, we get a little cup of coffee, and he says, Joe, my office don't have windows. Why does yours? So I make a joke out of this. Well, Bruce, I said, I get the morning sun out of this window, and I get the sun setting out of this window. It's just, it's nice to see the sunrise and sunset, because I'm here from sun up to sundown, and I might as well get to see it. And he kind of laughed, but so I'm hoping at PK Books I get the corner office with the windows. Because the office I'm in now is underground, so I don't, and even here, but anyway, but it's all good. So that's the big thing that we're kind of holding back on. I knew about this about a month ago, but we decided to keep it quiet. So things are going good. Who would have thought that something that started out of getting things off my chest would lead to an opportunity like this. And like I said, 2014, I'll tell you, 2013, and I'll tell you flat out, 2013 sucked in plain English. And you know what? if I could if I can go into like the time, I'd like to go from 2012 to 2014, but I can't do that. So 2014, it's all good. It's only looking positive. Everything. I'm going racing again. I have a great race team, a great car owner, an awesome crew chief who has become my friend over the years, and the family of this race team of the 3 cars, the 33, the 38, and now the 83. It's a family thing, and everybody hangs together. Everybody sits together. You know, and after the races, you go back to Camperland, and the bonfire is going, and you eat, drink, and be merry. And I'll tell you what, I know it's kind of cliche-ish, but sometimes you got to have a bad time to appreciate the good ones, and that's how this is looking. And 2014, I come into this new set, and again, I'm going to say this is awesome. This is really awesome. And it almost matches my color scheme, my race car. It's kind of cool, And that was just by accident. I didn't say to Matt, my color scheme is red and blue, dude. No, I walk in, it's red and blue here. It's kind of good. So, I would skip most of 2013, WJ. Most of 2013. And again, I was telling somebody just recently, I don't like going to races where I just sit there and watch. And WJ convinced me to go. And he convinced me to go, and I had a good time. It was a whole different perspective, and I met people that I only knew in passing, and it's a good group of people. And I found out there's people in myracenews.com that I didn't even know were part of myracenews.com, and it's all good. And yes, Jay Slice, I will still be going to the safer meetings because I am still a board member until I get voted out. And please vote me out. I've been going to safer meetings since 1977 when they were at the old Firehouse Pub in St. James. And for those who don't know, safer, it's an acronym, the Suffolk Association Figure 8 Racing. And I've been a member of safer on and off for, oh man, since, like I said, 1977. The only time I wasn't a safer member was a little brief time when I was traveling. Before I was traveling. I was working nights, so it was tough for me to get to the meetings. And then when I was the head official at Riverhead, the owners of the racetrack asked me to step down. They thought it was a conflict of interest. And looking back, I wished I would have not done that. But you do what you think you got to do. But 2014 is I'll tell you what, just so much has happened the last quarter of 2013 that's going to make 2014 so much better. Like I said, an opportunity to drive a Tour Modified. And there's a lot of people out there that are probably much better drivers than me that haven't had that opportunity. And they're scratching their head. Hey, man, how did he do that? He must have some line of crap that he could convince somebody to eliminate. It wasn't about that. It was about relationship building. And the relationship that I built with this team over the years as an official, I always treated them with dignity and respect. I treated them the way I wanted to be treated. When I was a competitor, I didn't break their chops. I sat, I talked, we joked around, and I do my little sarcastic thing where I would say things to them, and it's just incredible how this came to be, and it came to be initially as a joke. Because the second car was coming. Wade had brought 2 cars in just about every race, the 33 and the 38. And it became a joke. Who's driving the 38 today? And one day Wade goes, well, you are. So I started unbuttoning my shirt. It was a Monadnock. I started taking my shirt off. I said, I'm ready. I got my stuff in the car. I always got my fire suit and helmet. And I actually sat in the seat, and we got to play with that and took some pictures. And after I did, I was like, oh, man. I said, NASCAR's not going to be happy with this, But you know what? I didn't care. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Fire me? Oh, well, it freed me up to do what I want to do. It's just one of those things. And you have to have fun. Life is too damn short to not have a fun time. And, I learned that, and I learned it late in life. But you know what? You know, a great man once said to me, he goes, Joe, you've spent so much time planning your life that you're not enjoying it. And you know, I look back now, and he was right. And I need to, you know, we all need to. You need to, go need to have a good time. And if you like racing, go racing. If you like being a fan in the stands, get your blanket, get your little cooler, sit there and watch the race. If you want to be part of a crew, go find a crew that needs help. You know, and it's so. That's funny. I get into the serious thing here, and one of you guys writes something stupid that makes me laugh, and like silver back. And I'm going to tell you a little story. One of the first times I worked on the 33 team as a crew guy, you know, because you gotta pay your dues, you gotta work your way up. Which, fortunate for me, I did it quickly. You know, you take off your regular work on the car clothes, and you got to put your pit road stuff on. So DJ, the crew chief at the time, he had his shoes up on a trail, and he made a comment about how his feet swell on the road. So I put napkins in his regular shoes so that when he put his shoes on, they would be really tight. And things that you do to have fun, you know. Oh yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. Well, what do we got here? I don't know, but it's just what we do, and who knows? I got another person on there. I got a lot of people in chat room that I don't even know. I think I know who they are, but I don't know. But it's like what you got to have fun, folks. You got to have a good time, and that's what I'm going to do. I sat back, you know. You sit back sometimes, you do things to make other people happy, and then you find out you're not making yourself happy. And that's why I come and do this show, because I know you guys and gals out there, you look forward to this. You look forward to this. And we were talking at the holiday party in radio that I'm the only show that goes 2 hours. Everybody else goes an hour. And there are some days I could go 3 hours, and there was other days where you probably will say, "Oh, Joe, come on, man. This ain't the Joe show. It's the 505 race show." But you got to have fun, and this is what we do. And I know some of you folks out there were disappointed we took those 2 weeks off, including the management, because we had a little chat. We had a little chat at everybody knew we were off except the owners of the place, but that's all right. We'll communicate better in 2014. But I don't know. You know, it's just one of those things. So, you guys talking about course, I missed something there. But anyway, it's all good. And again, you know, you have your stuff going for 2014, and I have my stuff going for 2014. I'm pretty excited about it. But go, if you're really involved, I mean, don't just come here on Monday nights and listen to the Joe Rant. There's guys and gals out there that could use help. And I'm not saying, you know, get involved with it. I mean, if you want to help me, you're more than welcome. But your local guy, there's so many guys at the racetrack that have nobody. And I can remember, you know, Jay Slice's brother Brian. Roger Maynard called them the Joe Brothers because he couldn't remember who was who, so he just called them the Joe Brothers. And it was, for the most part, it was just Joe and his brother Brian, and that was it. And you know, when you come in with a wreck or a flat or something, yeah, people around you help, but it's tough doing it by yourself. It really, really is you know, tough doing it by yourself. You have to have help, and you know, on the local level, nobody can afford to pay you or whatnot, but or pay your way in. And you know, sometimes, you know, we had a sponsor, Jay Slice will tell you, we had a sponsor that paid our pit fees sometimes when he could, you know, and you know, but you go in there anyway. What's the difference? You're going there anyway. So help a local racer, you know, to the best of your ability, you know, and there's a lot of things you could do. Sometimes you could help with a tire. Sometimes you can help get the fuel. You know, just it's the little things. Sometimes it's the time-consuming things. Sometimes it's somebody just to run up to the board and see where are we starting. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, so I don't know. And it was funny. I was just thinking about that today. My race news. I was looking at the calendar. And when would I want to do the anniversary show? And it'll be the third anniversary. Believe, they said this show wouldn't last. That they'd pull the plug, we'd be canceled, and nobody would watch, nobody would listen. And live. I'm being told live that this show has more viewers live than most of the other shows, but a lot of the other shows have more after the fact to go in and check. Yeah, so it's all good. And so this is what I was thinking for the anniversary show, the third anniversary show, is putting something together. Not the Monday after Daytona, because I don't know if I'm going to be flying back from Daytona or just have a lot to report on Daytona. So it'll be the second Monday after the Daytona 500. So whatever that day, that'll be the anniversary show. It'll be set up round table, and the way this new studio is set up, we won't have to change a thing. We could sit around this table with a bunch of chairs, and it'll look good. And I'll be in touch with those who I wish to be a part of the anniversary show, and it'll be a 2-hour gig, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually planning it. Believe it or not, see, you folks think I get home from work Monday and just, all right, this is what we're going to talk about today. You're right. But the anniversary show is I have to. My producer just fell off the chair. I have to. I want to plan that show because last year's show went very well and it was planned very well, and I had a lot of help. But I want to do that again, and I want to make a party out of it. I mean, 'cause this is 3 years, man. Who would have thought? That would be February 24th. My race news is telling me. And I knew if there was anybody that would know that, it was him. So thank you. So that's the anniversary show. So if anybody's out there listening, we're going to pump that up. I want to have a surprise person, and I'm working on something really big for that. And I don't want to say what it is, because when it doesn't happen, I say, oh man, why did he say that when it couldn't happen? But started 6 instead of 7. Are you kidding me? All right, maybe. We'll talk to the powers to be. I don't care. I mean, I get paid by the show, so I don't really care. So what are you guys saying? Let's see. No ice cream cake. That's a contradictory terms. It's either ice cream or it's cake. I had this argument with somebody once. Ice cream cake, just because it's shaped like a cake, doesn't make it a cake. It's ice cream. So it's not an ice cream cake. I don't know. When you go to Carvel, you go, I'll have an ice cream cake. They should say we don't have cake here. We only have ice cream. Or Friendlies, or wherever you go for these things. I'm only kidding. Actually, I'm not. But there will be some kind of a cake here, even though I'm not supposed to have it. I will have some that day. I will save up my sugar carbs and my sugar grams and my carbs for that day. But yeah. Anyway, let's take a break, and we come back. We'll start to wrap it up. We'll be back. back. And just a reminder, Mental Maniacs, Vinny and Morgan, they'll be on immediately after me. They just came down into the studio quietly during that commercial. So tune in, stay tuned, and all that kind of good stuff. So here we are, talking about this anniversary show. We have about 10 minutes left. Actually 7 minutes left. It'll be March 3rd. There'll be a roundtable little thing going on, and we're gonna talk some good racing. And it's going to be all good. And I'm just sitting there, talking to my advisors as to who we should have as a part of that. And I'm working on something big. I mean, like when I tell you I'm working on something big, it's big. And I don't want to throw that out there what it is, but it's just something I'm trying to work on to get as a part of our roundtable. But I'll be in touch with those who are going to be a part of that. So it'll be good, and looking forward to it. And we'll go back to this ice cream cake thing. We could have ice cream and cake, because there's no such thing as an ice cream cake. That's all ice cream. It's ice cream. All right, just saying. All right. Anyway, but. If you guys want to treat me as the special guest, we could do that. But you know what I was thinking? I'm thinking of wearing a tuxedo that day. So it's going to be a formal event. So if there's any female guests, they'll have to be in gowns and heels and have all their bling. And guys, it's a black tie affair. I'm only kidding. No, I'm not. No. Well, we'll let you know. But it's all good. Anyway. So what do we got coming up? We got really, racing-wise, it's just testing going on with the sprint guys down in Daytona with the new rules package, trying to get some stuff going. Nothing too much going on in January NASCAR-wise, other than the testing. So the silly season has begun, but some of the Cup guys are settled in, and they're good. Hopefully we'll have some news on some of the modified tour things going on, like who's in the 52, who's not in the 52, who's in the 4, who's in the 3, who's in this car, who's in that car, what's going on with the 07, is the crew chief coming back, all kinds of good stuff on the modified tour. And then the Southern mods is GB3, Georgie Brunhustle III, is he going to go for a 4-peat? And we'll see what happens with that. But it's good. We're going to have some fun. So what are you guys? No, I only wear a black shirt because I think most of the shirts in my closet are black. I'm just thinking. But I have a black tux. I don't think it fits anymore because I'm a little bit smaller than I used to be. But we'll make it. We'll figure it out. But it's going to be good. 2014, I'm excited about. I'm excited about the show. We're going to do some things different in 2014. Things that we've been trying to do over the past couple of years. But it looks like we're going to have some things in place to make that happen. Some live appearances by race car people. Not that we haven't had that, but a little more frequently. Some call-in stuff. So we got some stuff going on. We got some Skype-in stuff going on in the works, and it's just it's kind of especially when you talk with the drivers in the top, at least the top 2 series. They have this thing where they only talk to certain people and at certain shows, and it's tough to get them to come on here. Even a local guy like Tommy Bolvin Jr., who was usually on the island during the weeks of Pocono, his schedule is so wacky that it's, even though he only lives up the road from us when he is here, it's tough for him to break away and be able. We got some things. We got things going on, and Kevin, be nice. Kevin, be nice. But but it's also a commitment on the part of the guests too. A lot of people say they're coming. Then they'll call me out. I can't work. I got to work. I got this. I got root canal. My wife kicked me out. My husband didn't get home yet. I got nobody to watch the kids. Stuff like that. So it's all good. So Ray Racer's got some 52 as a part-time driver, and a 60 for the rest. I heard about that, but I reached out for the car owner, and he hasn't gotten back to what's going on. I know there's a little shock with Doug Colby moving on, and he couldn't give Doug Colby what Doug needed, and So Doug is with a team where he could get what he needs. And, I mean, he got a championship with the 52, but, and I'll say this, and we'll wrap it up in a minute or two, but, to win a NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour Championship, you make about a little bit more than $100,000. But it costs $300,000 to make that $100,000. And it's tough. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with the touring series and what Sometimes you don't know till you get there. You don't know until they start declaring stuff. I haven't seen too many press releases. I saw the one with Tommy Barrett going for Rookie of the Year, running full time. So that kind of he's eligible to race every track. I'm not. So I'd have to win all the time, and you have to finish in the back for me to beat him for Rookie of the Year, because I'll be missing those 4 or 5 races. So, hey, anything can happen. You never know. I mean, who would have thought I was even going to be in a tour modified? So go figure. Stick that in your hat. So anyway, it looks like it's almost wrap up time. Again, the Metal Maniacs are on after me, and I want to thank everybody. We had a busy chat room tonight. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to come watch and listen to 505 on Racing Show. I want to thank you. Thank you all for your support in 2013, for sticking by. And for 2014, we're going to have a fun year in 2014. It's all good. 2014 can't be any better. It's starting out awesome already. So thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being a part of my life in this racing world, this racing thing that we do. And I want everybody to, I hope everybody had a nice New Year. Merry Christmas. God bless you all. See you next time. Good night.